Hello, Joe Rossinello, and once more, let us go into the breach. Joe, what do you think of Danielle Smith? She's
Well,
the
she
Go
does a
ahead.
lot of talking. She tries to come off as a conservative. We'll see. There's a lot of talk, particularly from Maxime Bernier, that the conservatives really aren't conservative. I mean, she did have a big win. We'll see where it goes. But ultimately, I'll be honest with you, I think Canada needs an exorcism. And I think a lot of the politicians aren't providing the solutions, the real solutions that Canada needs.
Well, I mean, remember, Joe, their solution is always the same thing. Look, they create the problems, and then they say we have the solution to the problems. So they'll create a problem, like they'll make it up out of thin air, like climate change. Okay, when we were kids, the Earth was too cold, then it was too hot. Then they called it global cooling, then global warming, and then they realized because of the natural fluctuations in temperature, they were being shown to be the liars that they are. So then they started calling it climate change. Okay. It's a made up problem. Okay. That's what it is. And it's a reason for them, people like Trudeau, people like, well, Biden doesn't really have an original thought in his head. So the people that control Biden, Barack Obama, okay, they do the same thing in America. They create the problem and then they say, you know what's causing the problem? Businesses. So what are we going to do? We have to put the shackles on those businesses. Well, Danielle Smith, and this was in LifeSite News, she slammed the Trudeau government for introducing this quote unquote just transition climate bill. You know what I hear, Joe, when I hear that? Just transition. I hear Biden going, oh, come on, man. Oh, come on, man. No, it's not come on. No, I'm not listening to you. You're lying through your teeth about the whole climate agenda. You have all these scientists who rely on funding. You coerce them into parroting your line so that they keep getting their funding. In the meantime, you're lying to everybody. And Danielle Smith basically said, Alberta will not recognize, cooperate with, or enforce any attempt to phase out our province's oil and gas industry or its workforce. This is non-negotiable. Now, like you said, conservatives in Canada, Joe, again, the jury's out on how conservative they are. But that sounds like a pretty bold statement to me.
That is a bold statement. I give her credit. She knows where her bread is being buttered. And frankly, in order for her to keep power, she's got to say that. Now, what does Trudeau and the Liberals do? That's the question. They could do a lot to make her life and the people's lives of Alberta very difficult. He's already made their lives difficult. He does control the wheels of power.
Right.
And, and then we'll see if she continues to stay firm. I hope she does. For the people's sake, they're getting crushed. They're getting crushed. And that region relies on that industry, period. End of story. Without it, they're finished.
Right. And the thing is, the funny thing is, you know who cleans up the environment better than anybody else? The oil and gas industry. They don't pollute the way these demagogues like Trudeau and here, like, with call him Biden, Barack Obama and Joe Biden, like Biden. Okay. They demagogue these issues. The oil and gas industry is very clean, Joe. They're lying when they say that they go out and pollute. They just don't like the fact that oil and gas are the fuel, literal fuel that we need to run the engine of a free market economy. And if you look at these people as what they are, they're communists. That's what they are. They don't want businesses to flourish, okay? Or at least they don't want businesses to flourish without them having some control over it. So on the one hand, you have people who call themselves communists. They have no problem taking over the means of production in particular industries. And on the other hand, they act like fascists. If they can't take over the industry completely, then they're going to have an alliance between big government, big business, and big labor. Either way, we all get screwed. And that's what's going to happen to the people of Canada if they don't step up.
I mean, listen, this is the movement that the elites across the West have embraced. And like I said, if you're in the way, you get bulldozed. And people should stop listening to the rhetoric and just look inside your refrigerator, see how empty it is. That's what you should see.
They should also look to recent history and see, and you covered it at the front line with Joe and Joe. They should look to recent history and see the actions that Trudeau's government took against those who would protest, namely the truckers convoy. Okay. And how they used the power of the government to really, crush these, or attempt to crush these people. monitoring their bank accounts, okay, and things like that. Horrible, horrible intrusion into people, infringing on people's rights.
Well, that shows you to the lengths that they will go, and they will do it again because they got away with it. I mean, that's what people have to open their eyes. This is not a pro-person ideology. It really isn't.
Right.
And that's the thing that I don't get. If you're super rich and you want to buy into this, maybe you have to keep your money because of your position, whatever, fine, because you will be economically perfectly fine moving forward. Trudeau just came, Forbes just noted he's worth $97 million.
Wow.
He'll be fine. His family, they're going to go on vacations. Everyone's going to go to college. Everyone's going to get a good job. Life is good.
You know,
Most people, that's not the way it is. And what I don't get is the political ideology of the liberals who aren't rich. Because
right.
I got news for you. You're getting flushed down the toilet too. You really are. And I actually think the battle is the people versus the establishment. People have to figure that out. No one's getting anything done. You have to get
Right.
your country back. You don't have a country anymore.
Well, we have to do the same thing. That's why I think somebody made a good point. You've said on the show at the Frontline with Joe and Joe a number of times, if Trump gets elected in America, they're going to kill him because they've tried everything else, okay, and it hasn't worked. If he gets elected, they're going to be so enraged, they're just going to straight up kill him. But you know who else I think that about? I think if RFK Jr. has success, okay, I'm going to watch his interview that he did recently with Joe Rogan. I heard it was very good. I heard he's very level-headed. Now, again, on the abortion issue is going to be where it's going to get a little sticky. But outside of that, from what I've heard so far, I'd vote for him. And you know what that means? If I would vote for him, that means they'll try to kill him too, because he's actually a voice of reason in the Democrat Party, and they don't want a voice of reason. Okay.
Well, that's where, and it's very similar to Canada, the parallels of the establishment versus the people are becoming stark. And to be truthful with you, when governments do that, you walk a fine line, because if enough people have their eyes open, and people are starting to become aware. For instance, you mentioned Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan does not like Donald Trump. I've heard him say it. He said, I will not give him a platform. He wouldn't have him on the show. But do you know, I heard him say this. He said, if Donald Trump runs against Joe Biden, I'm voting for Donald Trump. You see, that's an indicator.
Right.
When you start to see stuff like that, where the people, their eyes become open, I'll be truthful with you, that's when the establishment's in trouble. And frankly, more people have to see things for how it really is, because that's what's going on.
Right.
It's not your country anymore.
No, it's not.
Like period. It doesn't even matter whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, whether you're a conservative or you're a liberal in Canada. What are they doing for you? How is your life improving?
It's not. It's not.
So there you go.
It's
That should
steadily
say everything you
declining.
need. That says everything you need to know in my book.
No, I hear you. Thanks for joining us at the Frontline with Joe and Joe. Stick around for more great content.